predicting profits of more than $9 billion. Shares dropped, gosh, almost 5% since the announcement. Alberta says it's committing $5 billion over a 20-year period to the Energy East pipeline. The agreement, which would see 100,000 barrels of Alberta crude carried to refineries on Canada's east coast, could raise prices on all 3 million barrels of oil produced in the province, increasing royalties across the board. That's all good. But that is your business update. Well, as we mentioned earlier, job numbers out in Canada and the United States. But if you're looking for work, our next guest says it's good to get the bigger picture and not get caught up in these month-to-month data. Geoff Bagg is the president of the Bagg Group, and he joins me now. Geoff, great to see you again.
Good to be here.
Okay, we do. I mean, I'm a journalist. We come over these numbers on a monthly basis, and sometimes we get over-enthusiastic. What are your thoughts on the numbers today, for instance?
Well, the number, it's steady, still 7.1. That's what it was last month. I guess it wouldn't be good or bad. Overall, the economy's been great. If you look at sort of what's been natural over maybe a 20, 30-year period, it's been up over 8%. So being down at 7.1 is actually pretty good. And I think for the job seeker, that's where it becomes more difficult, because they really get affected by, is it up a point or down a point? But really, at the end of the day, you're not a statistic, and it's really about what does this do to affect you in the job market. So it's more the psychological impact.
Anecdotally, in your experience with the Bagg Group, are you finding that there is a trend in job growth overall then, quite aside from the numbers?
For sure. So we've been in business over 40 years, and we've placed over 60,000 people, and the bottom line is companies are still hiring, and there's more people in work than out of work. But, you know, some people do find it very, very challenging at this point.
Yeah. Nonetheless, the numbers are important because they're a psychological thing, aren't they, really?
For sure. So people, when the numbers go up or down, it does affect them. And I think when the numbers are up, like we saw in May, you know, the positive impact is that the job seeker feels encouraged. Companies are out there and that they see the economy's moving forward, so they want to be a part of that. And the only way they can be a part of the growth and the profitability is really by hiring. And then another interesting sector is people that have jobs but maybe aren't so happy in their jobs. They're interested in checking out and seeing what the opportunities out there.
What are the numbers?
They're really high. There's a study that came out that said about 40% of people aren't really happy in their jobs.
40% are not happy in their jobs. Okay, I mean, the corollary is 60% are happy.
Exactly.
I mean, does that 40% number, it surprises me. Does it surprise you?
Not really. I think that when there's been a lot of doom and gloom out there as far as what's been reported for people, and so maybe some people have kind of hung on to their jobs a bit longer than they should have. And I think that as people get more encouraged and see more job opportunities out there, they'll get plugged into something that's a better fit for them.
Yeah. Are you finding that? People are knocking on your door and saying, hey, listen, what do you got? What's on the shelf that I could just move over to?
Actually, I was talking to somebody like that yesterday. Has a great job, but you know, feels it's time to move on and see what the next path is.
Yeah, it's like your old car. You want to replace it because you know, nothing wrong with the car, still gets good money. Okay, so that said, there's a phenomenon called the discouraged worker out there,
For sure.
where when things are bad, people just give up. Are people starting to not give up at least?
Again, I think the discouraged worker, you see that a lot more when you see some bad numbers out there. And so we try to separate what are the unemployment numbers versus the job growth numbers, because sometimes people do drop out of the workforce, but that's probably a good opportunity for those that are out seeking. If I view it as a competition. If the competition's a bit lighter, you know, that's probably a time to go out and really move your career forward and see what you can do.
7.1%, we do focus on that as an unemployment rate in this country. Is that a good number? I mean, days gone by, you used to say that, you know, 5 or 6% was quote-unquote full employment. At 7.1%, what do you think?
I still think that 7.1 is a good number. Obviously, everyone wants to see it better. Who doesn't? But compared to where we've been, so if we went back, say, 20 years and looked at our trend, you know, or even 30 years, it tended to be over 8. So it's a good number for Canada, for sure.
And where are you seeing job growth? I mean, we always focus on manufacturing and those kinds of things, or even information technology. Where are you seeing it?
It's a huge one. So you're seeing in other areas, obviously the oil and gas is huge, especially if you're out west.
That's still the case, even though oil prices have come down?
Yeah, even with the oil prices down, when you look at the amount of people for the jobs there, there's still huge demand, still bringing in people from outside the province. looking at things with the aging population, still healthcare is going to be more and more popular, and anything to do with that.
Yeah. Manufacturing, are we seeing a growth there?
Unfortunately, we've seen negative growth or job loss in manufacturing, and so that is a tough area, and especially in a province like Ontario. But again, we're seeing that being offset in other areas.
You know, it's interesting. John Stevenson was on here earlier, and we were talking about making Toronto a hub for currency trading in the Chinese currency in particular. What about finances? Are we seeing growth in that space?
You know what? Toronto's always been a huge market for Canada's financial sector, and it's done well. And in spite of all of the challenges that have gone on globally, I mean, Toronto's been a great market, and people come here and they can't believe all the cranes they see, and I mean, that's a huge indicator of what's going on.
Absolutely. Jeff, we'll leave it on that positive note.
Sounds good.
Thank you very much. Geoff Bagg. He's the president of the Bagg Group. Coming up on the AM agenda, a royal waiting game. People on social media are counting down the days and betting on it, all pointed out. Gina Phillips will bring us the online buzz for the royal baby.
All you want to do is wrap up a sandwich or leftovers, but dealing with plastic wrap and foil leaves you in a tangled mess.
Hi, Mark Gill here for Wraptastic, the super smart dispenser that lets you pull, press, and wrap just like that. Amazing!
Simply load in your wrap and you're ready to roll. Plastic wrap, foil wrap, wax paper, and more. You simply pull, press, and wrap just like that. Wraptastic rolls are easy to start. They never bunch, stick, or rip apart. Now that's fast, and that's easy. And talk about fast. In the same time it took to wrap one hero sandwich the old-fashioned way, we wrapped 3 hero sandwiches the Wraptastic way. Hey, when your foil rips and splits, you just want to quit. But Wraptastic cuts perfectly every time, so there's no waste.